Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're an executive, a business owner, or a professional trying to steer your organization through today's insanely complex environment, you already know that legislative chaos can completely derail even your best-laid plans. But what if you could take all that regulatory uncertainty and actually transform it into a strategic business advantage? Well, that is exactly what we're diving into today. We're going to unpack the Linkonize framework, which is a structured, totally evidence-based approach to mastering your legislative strategy.
Let's just dive right into it. The organizations that succeed aren't the ones that react to new laws. They're the ones that prepare long before legislation is passed. Think of legislation like an iceberg. By the time a new law is actually passed and visible above the water, the massive structural foundation of that policy has already been built way beneath the surface. If you're waiting until a law is totally finalized to get involved, you're literally just seeing the tip of the iceberg. And honestly, by then, it's usually way too late to steer the ship.
So, here is our roadmap for today. 1. The cost of reacting. 2. Defining legislative strategy. 3. The 5-step framework. 4. Building business resilience. And 5. The Linkonize advantage.
Section 1. The cost of reacting. There is a huge, stark contrast between reactive compliance and a proactive strategy. Waiting around until legislation is enacted, that just hits you with higher compliance costs, totally unexpected operational disruptions, and worst of all, absolutely zero influence over the policy discussions that put you in that position to begin with. But by engaging early, you really gain the upper hand. You get early monitoring, serious risk mitigation, and the actual ability to shape policy before those big decisions are finalized. So, I really want you to ask yourself, what does a delayed reaction actually cost your supply chains and your market access? Because policy decisions do not happen in a vacuum, right? They immediately impact your business operations, your environmental obligations, and your investment planning. A legislative surprise isn't just some annoying legal headache. It is a direct hit to your bottom line.
Section 2. Defining legislative strategy.
Okay, so what exactly is a legislative strategy? Well, it's a proactive, structured plan to anticipate, understand, and respond to legislative and regulatory developments before they disrupt operations. The absolutely crucial takeaway here is that legislation is a strategic business issue. It's not just a legal process you delegate to the compliance team at the 11th hour. It requires real foresight.
And to achieve that foresight, you need a cohesive roadmap. It kicks off with legislative monitoring and policy analysis, just to see what's coming down the pipeline, followed by stakeholder mapping and risk assessment to gauge the actual impact. Finally, government engagement and strategic communications allow you to take real action. By integrating all these specific elements, leadership teams can make highly informed, evidence-based decisions long before any business challenges actually pop up.
Section 3. The 5-step framework.
Here is the high-level Linkonize methodology. 1. Policy intelligence. 2. Impact assessment. 3. Stakeholder intelligence. 4. Strategic engagement. And 5. Ongoing monitoring. This 5-step framework acts as both a crucial shield to defend your operations and a massive accelerator for your overall corporate success.
Let's break it down. Step 1 is policy intelligence, which is all about early visibility. Every single legislative strategy has to begin with monitoring. The Linkonize process tracks early proposed legislation, parliamentary activity, committee hearings, and regulatory consultations. They're basically looking for the very earliest signals of government announcements and policy reviews. This gives you visibility into developments way before they ever make the evening news.
Once you've got that visibility, you move right into step 2, impact assessment. Because let's be real, not every policy change means the same thing for your specific business, right? So this step is all about prioritizing risk. The framework evaluates the potential effects on your compliance requirements, your financial planning, your customer base, and your industry competitiveness. The whole goal here is to cut through the noise and prioritize the issues that actually demand your strategic attention.
Now for step 3, understanding who influences a policy is just as important as understanding the policy itself. When you map out the policy ecosystem, you uncover this massive web of players. We're talking government departments, regulators, parliamentary committees, industry associations, professional bodies, and sector experts. Mapping out these complex relationships tells you exactly who holds the levers of change in your industry.
And that stakeholder map feeds perfectly into step 4, strategic engagement planning. Effective engagement requires some serious preparation. This step is where you develop tailored strategies, things like consultation responses, position papers, and executive briefings.
You might even scout out some coalition-building opportunities. Ultimately, the framework ensures your organization communicates clearly and constructively at the exact right stages of the policymaking process.
And finally, step 5, ongoing monitoring and adaptation. Policy environments are not static. They are constantly evolving. Bills get amended, regulators change their focus, political winds shift. This final step guarantees that as legislation progresses, your team continuously evaluates new info and updates those engagement strategies. It's an endless, continuous loop of intelligence and action.
Section 4. Building Business Resilience.
So why do organizations actually invest time and resources into this? Simple, because timely policy intelligence directly improves decision-making and dramatically reduces your regulatory risk. When you prepare early, you minimize disruption. On top of that, constructive engagement builds incredible trust with policymakers, which leads to much better stakeholder relationships. And ultimately, all of this culminates in stronger business resilience and an enhanced reputation. It really positions you as a transparent, responsible market leader.
Section 5. The Linkonize Advantage.
The real magic of Linkonize is in their holistic, integrated approach. They expertly combine public affairs consulting, government relations, sophisticated legislative tracking, stakeholder intelligence, strategic communications, and coalition building. Instead of treating all of these like siloed, disconnected departments, they blend these disciplines together perfectly. This integrated strategy is exactly what enables your organization to navigate regulatory uncertainty with total confidence.
If your organization wants to stay ahead of legislative change, reduce that regulatory risk, and build a genuinely proactive public affairs strategy, you really need a partner who understands the complete policy ecosystem. You can find out more and take that first step toward transforming your legislative strategy by visiting their website at www.linkonize.com.
I'm going to leave you with this final, absolutely vital thought. Is your organization waiting to react to legislative change or preparing for it before it even happens? Because in today's fast-paced regulatory environment, the organizations that shape the future are the ones that prepare for it today. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer, and I highly encourage you to take proactive steps to secure your organization's operational future.